Welcome to episode 1 of this DP Animation Maker series. In this series, I want to show you how I use this software to animate images, whether they are photos or images generated with AI. You can create nice ambiances, GIF animations, shorts, and reels for YouTube and Instagram, screensavers, or greeting cards. This is not a sponsored video. I just want to present it to you because I think it's useful. There are so many things it can do, so in this video, I will give you a quick overview. I'll show you different projects where it's useful in the next episodes. If you search for DP Animation Maker on Google, you should find the link to the website, but I will also include it in the description. As you can see, it has a trial version, so you can try it out, and it also offers a one-time purchase for under $50. So download the trial and give it a try to see if it's good enough for you. They update the software regularly. I've been using it for months, and I still haven't learned all the options it offers. The interface isn't the most modern, and I think they could improve that, but the tools available are pretty cool and allow me to animate all kinds of things. Now, let's start with the interface. On the top, you have the menus where you can save your project or export the final video or other formats you need. It supports a lot of formats like MP4, executable files, and GIFs. This is the preview area where you will see all your animations and the entire scene. From here, you can upload an image to change the background. For example, I can upload this AI-generated image of a skull. You can zoom in and out using the mouse wheel, or you can use the navigator on the left to adjust the view and work on details. When you're zoomed in, you can move this rectangle to get the exact area you want. There are also a few buttons on top that you can use. You can choose an effect to apply to the entire scene. For example, I can choose underwater and from the settings adjust how the water moves. You can change settings like amplitude, speed, wavelength. Each setting is specific to the effect you choose. So if I choose water mirror, the settings would change to fit that type of effect. You also have effects like fire, where you can add some fire at the bottom, along with a heat effect over the image. Other effects include matrix code, glass ball, or even a transparent background if you want to create overlay effects. Let's reset it to no effect. The most useful menu is the one at the top. From here, you can add all kinds of animations. You can add animated objects or paint with animated brushes. There are some airbrushes available as well. You can also add text effects or animated lines. Additionally, you can import your own animated frames or create your own animation particles. If I click on Animated Objects, this window will open, allowing me to select different objects. If I click on Animated Brushes, the same window will open, but with the brushes. From here, I can collapse and expand the options to select the one I want. Just click the plus sign to expand, making it easy to access the type of animation you want to add. Let's say I want to add an object animation. If I click on Rain, I can see a preview thumbnail of what that animation looks like. If I click Apply Selected Animation, it will be added to the scene and you can see a preview of that animation. I can now close the window since the animation was added. Once an animation is added, you can see it on the right, similar to adding layers in Photoshop. You can add multiple animations and change their order. Each animation has different controls and settings that you can change. Some have settings for size, speed, and so on. There's also an eye icon that lets you hide or make that effect visible. Just like in Photoshop, if I add another animation, like snow, you'll see the preview, and you'll notice it has now added that layer of animation on top. With that layer selected, I can use the arrows to move it under or on top to achieve the desired effect. You can also delete an animation using the red X icon. If you select an animation, you'll have access to multiple settings, and there will also be different tabs depending on the animation. For example, some animations let you change the color, adjust the transparency, or modify the blending mode. Other settings allow you to change the direction of the animation or adjust different parameters to constrain it to a certain area. It's a good idea to experiment with the different settings to see how they affect the animation. Let's explore a few of the animated objects. You have different types of clouds, weather effects like rain and snow, and fog, which is great for adding mood and atmosphere. You can constrain the fog to a certain area so it stays in that region, and you can change the color to better fit your environment. Next, let's see what else we have. Different types of lightning bolts. Let's add one to the scene. You can see it happens over the skull, but maybe I want it in a different area. I can adjust it so that it happens only in this corner if I want. It's nice that it's random, which makes it look more interesting. There's also a category for light and fire effects. Some of these animated objects have a path with a beginning and end, allowing you to move between two objects so the effect fits better with your scene. There are so many things here that we'll explore more in the next episodes, but I'll leave the rest for you to discover. Animated brushes are very useful because they let you animate only the portion you paint. You can bend, blur, drift, rotate, and do all sorts of things. For example, if I apply this flow brush, nothing happens right away, but it adds a layer with animation. From there, I can adjust the brush size and start painting on an area. Then, I can adjust settings like changing the direction of the animation or modifying the speed and distance. Let's delete that and add it again, maybe in an area where it will fit better, like over these clouds in the sky, so I can paint over them and they'll start moving. I also have an eraser tool that lets me delete parts of the animation. Additionally, you can enable the mask to see exactly what you painted. There are many useful brushes here, each with different settings. When combined, they can really bring your image to life. For instance, there are brushes for clouds, and a fire brush that lets you paint with animated fire. The Exude brush is also interesting. It lets you paint an area and then add some kind of smoke that takes on the colors of the painted area. From what I've seen, they keep adding new animations each month. The most recent ones include animated text, where you can type text and make it look like it's on fire. But let me show you a quick example of animation using this background image. I'll keep it simple and won't spend too much time on making it fully realistic, just to give you an idea of how you can approach a project. So I have some water in the scene, and I can use this stream brush, which works great for rivers and waterfalls. I can start painting on the water area, and it will begin flowing. Then, depending on how far or close the river is, or how fast the water flows, I can adjust the settings to make it look more natural. You can also change the direction to match how the water appears in the image. Next, let's add another brush, this time for water. With this brush, you can create water ripples, like on a lake or in the sea, or, in this case, the water moves in the area where we paint. You can enable the highlight mask to see where you've painted, and you can use the eraser tool to delete parts of the animation, like on the stones, for example, because those areas shouldn't move. Play around with the settings until you find something that looks nice. You can change the speed, amplitude, scale, or perspective. This setting is really useful because it incorporates the entire scene into the animation, meaning it will affect all the layers below it. So remember this setting. Let's add another brush, this time for fire. We can use heat distortion if we already have a fire to make it move. I can paint over the fire and it will make the heat appear to move. You can paint with the fire brush first and then add this heat distortion if you want. Next, let's add some animated objects, like the fire sparkles, which work really well with fire. As soon as I add them, they cover the entire scene. I can move the point where I want the sparkles to start and then adjust the arrows to show the direction in which the sparkles should fly. It's a nice touch and adds more life to the scene. I hope they will add more animations like this in the future. Now, let's see what else we can add. Maybe some shooting stars, but I think that might be too much for this scene. Let me check. From the airbrushes, we have this sparkle brush. We can use it to paint stars and place them where we want. There are so many options here, like the particles that let you create all kinds of magical or fantasy effects. For example, if I add this cloud, look at all the options I have to adjust the animation. You can change the colors, particle size, and all kinds of cool settings. There's also this magic path that lets you draw a path, and particles will start flowing along that path. What's really cool is that you can also import your own images or frame animations, allowing you to animate even more things and create more complex animation scenes. Then from the constructor, you can create all kinds of particle systems. You can choose the type of motion for your particles, change the particle shape, or try out pre-saved templates that you can modify and move around. I don't think I've even tested half of all these options. There are so many cool things to explore. You can also save the animations you've modified into your libraries, making it easy to add them to the scene later. For example, I have this magic dust particle effect that I can quickly add to the scene. From the menu, don't forget to save your project so you can edit it later. In the export menu, you can export your animation in the format you want. I usually post them on YouTube, so I choose the MP4 format. Then you can select the folder and path where you want to save it, give it a name, and click Save. Next, you'll see the settings. You can choose the resolution, like Full HD. For quality, I'm not sure why they don't leave it at max, because I always want the highest quality for video. Maybe for GIFs, you need a smaller size. I like to choose Custom so that it matches the size of my background image. Sometimes I do 4K, sometimes 2K, and so on. For this tutorial, it's Full HD. Then there's the frame rate, which depends on what you need. You can leave it at the default, use 24, 30, or 60, whichever fits your project best. For animation duration, it's in seconds, so if I want a minute of video, I'll set it to 60 seconds here. For loop transition, if you want the animation to loop back to the beginning, you can set how many seconds the loop transition should last. And that's all for today. If you found something useful, leave a like and a comment. If you have any questions, check out the Discord server in the AI2 Play channel from the Pixaroma server. Thanks for watching and have a great day.